Kyla, we're at Alexander Hamilton School. It's a school in the San Diego Unified School District. How does a school like this make it on a list of potentially dangerous buildings?
All it takes is the fact that there are buildings on this campus that were built between 1950 and 1978. And in 1978, there were major upgrades made to the building code that related to seismic safety. And so in 1999, the legislature passed a law telling the agency that oversees school construction to review buildings built during that period to see if they lived up to the standards that were built into those 1978 code upgrades. And they reviewed the plans that they had on file and separated those buildings into two categories. The first category was likely to perform well in major earthquakes, and that was around 2,000 buildings fell into that category. And the second category was buildings that it was unknown if they would live up to those standards, and that was about 7,500 buildings across the state. And that was just based on the type of construction.
So here in San Diego County, how many buildings do we have in those categories?
It's about 320 fell into the unknown safety category.
What happened with this list and what happened with all of these buildings?
Well, it's been very spotty, and in some instances very little has happened. San Diego Unified actually just recently reviewed this building as part of its final round of inspections of its 90 buildings that were in that unknown safety category. But it's just one of 4 districts in the county where there are about 24 districts in the county that have buildings on the list, and it's one of just 4 that's actually inspected all of its buildings that were listed in that category.
So your story is really focused on the school districts who haven't inspected buildings. So when you went out to speak with them, what did they tell you in terms of why they never got around to doing it?
They told us a lot of different things, actually. One thing that we heard a lot was that there's not money now to do these inspections and possible retrofits. The state initially estimated that it would cost about $4.5 billion to do all of the inspections and mitigation that would be needed on the unknown safety buildings. And the state made about $200 million available in 2006. So that's less than 5% of that estimated cost. So the state hasn't made funds available for school districts to do this work. But at the same time, several have passed construction bonds. There was the housing boom in the early 2000s. They could have taken advantage of those increased property taxes to do that work. Another thing that we've heard, and we heard it from the superintendent in Carlsbad, was that the state just never made clear that this was something that needed to get done.
We did construction in here and submitted plans to DSA. So if in fact DSA had issues with the safety of any of our buildings, they had the opportunity when we were asking for approval to do the construction. They could have said, oh, you need to add bolts, you need to do a study. None of that ever came through.
In your research, the school districts that did actually inspect their buildings, did they find any of them that really weren't safe, or did they all sort of get the passing grade?
Certainly they did. Some were indeed safe, and some needed retrofits. One in the Grossmont High School District, they had to vacate that building because they deemed that it was so unsafe.
So for parents at home right now, they want to know whether or not their school was inspected or whether or not their school is safe. What do they do? Where do they go to find out?
They can go to our website, kpbs.org. We have a map there of the 320-some buildings that were on the list in San Diego County, and we've updated their status to the best of our knowledge. We did a lot of records requests and found out which ones were inspected, which ones weren't, which have been demolished. And so after that, they can go to their school district administrators and ask that something be done if their school buildings haven't been inspected.
KPBS reporter Kyla Calvert, thanks a lot for doing this. Great story.
Thank you.